welcome. It's me, Percita, and this is Percitas Paradox. If you're new to this channel, thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate you, your time, and effort in finding the channel. And if you're an OG, you know the rules. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, keeping this channel vibing and thriving. Thank you so much. So today, I wanted to talk about something I think is very cool, but at the same time, I think it's just something that we all feel, but we don't really express, and that's brotherly love. And you may say, well, Priscilla, what is brotherly love? Well, you already know. I'm emphasizing everything through this season because this is the time that we really need to create some sense of unity and really pick up where people have left off for people who are not able to be loved and feel loved at this time, right? It's seasonal. It is what it is. We need to be very conscious that when it gets cold and people really get into a place of comfort and coddling and so on and so forth, it's really a sense of time that people feel the most depression. And I'm just aware of it. And because that is the case, I want to talk about it and make sure we have a platform for people to feel safe. So brotherly love today for me is really, really, really understanding it. If you have the opportunity to help someone or to build someone up, I want you to do that. The question for you today is, who was the last person that you fed into? Who was the last person that you put some sense of investment in? And you may say, well, what do you mean? This perspective is not tangible. I'm not talking about, did you give them some money? I'm not talking about things like that. I'm talking about the idea of who did you really uplift in a time that you know that they needed it? And I'm not talking about at the top of the year, because we all know that everybody and their mother needed it at the top of the year. I'm talking about in the last 48 hours since you've started to watch this video. Are you understanding that even when you're not feeling at your best, that people come into your path, they come into your life for you to feed into them in some form or another? And every day we all have the opportunity to say something positive to a person. And I don't mean positive in the sense of just kind of like, girl, I'm praying for you, or something of that sense. I mean literal words, literal experiences that you can share with someone to simply put them in a space of being better at that moment. I used to think that that was like all BS, right? I used to feel like, I haven't really lived enough to give advice or to give any true words to people. And, some days I'm just not feeling it. I'm barely getting out of the bed myself, child, and not really interested in being in a space of feeling as if I'm responsible for another person or having some sense of accountability about it. But you know what I've learned? I've learned that some of the best word that I have gotten from people was when I wasn't expecting it. I have learned that some of the best sound advice I have gotten has been from someone in passing at a gas station, or, walking into a restaurant and waiting, standing next to someone, and you had no idea that what they were about to say to you was so important, or just a moment of a compliment that just was what I needed to take me out of whatever that funk was that I was feeling. And I propose to you today that instead of being in a space of not understanding your ability to do that, but I'm going to hold you some sense of accountable for just the idea that you always have something to give, no matter what that is. And sometimes being the blessing is more important than receiving the blessing. Being the person who actually is giving is more important than ever feeling like you're receiving. I mean, we all feel as if, a good gift here or there is not a bad thing. Anything tangible, child, from food to some shoes to some workout equipment, it don't matter for me. If I'm not buying it, then I'm completely excited about it. But in the exact same breath, what I also understand is that in order to be all that I can be, I have to know that the blessings that I have, or the things that I have, is to share. And the easiest, cheapest thing that you can give someone is a compliment. The easiest, cheapest thing that you can give someone is a word that you feel that musters up in your spirit to share. There's so many times that we'll literally find ourselves, like I said, not necessarily being able to buy something for a person or be able to fix their problem, but just being in a space of listening can even be a huge proponent for someone to make it through to the next day. Being in a place of brotherly love does not mean anything more than you find yourself before you assume you have nothing to identify that there has to be something you can give. Have you ever been in a position where you were driving and maybe you saw someone that was homeless and you wanted to give something, but you couldn't really figure out what you could give? And maybe you had some food that you didn't, finish or something of the sort. And you said to yourself, you know what? I don't know if this will be disrespectful. I know for me, this is how it poses in my head. I don't know if this will be disrespectful, but I want to be able to give them something. I don't carry a lot of cash on me, so let me see if they're willing to receive it. I try to give it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I've seen, the reciprocation back in the attitude of like, I don't want food that you just ate, and I'm fine for that. And I've seen people get offended by that. And, oh my God, well, if they're homeless, then they should really want whatever I'm willing to give. I'm learning that everyone has their own ideas and their own perspectives, and I don't need to force mine on anyone. But at the same time, I know where my heart was, and I can just stand in that. Because that's the other part of this story. You could try. You could absolutely be the person who's like, girl, every time I try it, I get hit with, some sense of resistance from a person that they don't really want it, or, they're mean back to me, or they're looking at me funny. Be all right with that. Because this is not about them. And sometimes, I don't know about you, sometimes I've actually had someone say something to me, and in the moment, I wasn't able to receive it. And then I'll think about it and ponder on it later. It could be later on that day, later on that month, hell, later on that year. And I will think back on that comment, that moment, and go, man, that's what they were trying to say, or that's what was happening. And I couldn't see it because I was too caught up in something else. So don't ever feel as if you're giving and you're giving from your heart, from your soul, from your spirit, and you're giving something to someone, don't ever worry about how they receive it, because it's really not about how they receive it. It's really about you understanding that you're doing your job. Your job is to give at that moment, and that is all that you can do. You cannot expect that everyone will be receptive. And that can be a little, hard to swallow, because we want the accolade right at that moment that the person is understanding what we're trying to give and how we're trying to give it, and they're receiving it and giving us greatness back, because everyone wants to feel that appreciation, that thank you, that accolade, right? But you also have to understand that sometimes it's just not about that. The blessing is bigger than you. If you have any sense of spirituality, then you understand exactly where I'm going with this. The blessing is bigger than you. It has absolutely nothing to do with what you do. All you're asked to do is to follow directions. And I believe that when you're in a brotherly love place and you're coming from that space, there's absolutely nothing that you can really stress other than doing what it is that's supposed to happen at that moment. So I challenge you today to step out of your comfort zone, step out of what you feel good about, and do things that are required of you, that are bigger than you. And understand that blessings are tangible, yes, but there are also blessings that are not tangible, in the sense of you can buy them. And you want to be just as willing to give those as you are to give the tangible, especially during this time of the year. Especially during this time of the year, okay? So, as always, I hope that this can lead you into a great day and a great week and a great year and a great month and all of that good stuff. But I want you to really contemplate being better with your people. I know it's hard because right now we are living in a society that is very, very self-consumed. We are living in a time that everyone is emotional and extra sensitive, so it can be very touch and go. And be conscious. I'm not telling you to walk around like Mother Teresa and just, put yourself in a position of craziness and, disdainment back. I am asking you to step out of your norm. And that may be one or two things, but I'm not putting that on you or anyone to say, just be completely oblivious and not be safe. Be conscious, be safe, but use love as your guide. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate you. You know the drill. I need you to like, share, and comment this video. I need you to subscribe if you haven't done that thus far, and make sure that you hit the notification button. And after you've done all of that, make sure you do 3 things. Live life authentic. Thank you so much. As always, have a wonderful day. Be your best, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.